Though many people have heard of Lyme disease, most people are unaware that when it is misdiagnosed or improperly treated in its early stages, it can develop into a much more serious problem, chronic Lyme. Chronic Lyme patients not only have to deal with the painful illness, the emotional side effects, the changes to their lifestyles and their daily living, they also have to deal with having doors slammed in their face by insurance companies and doctors who fail to acknowledge and treat the disease openly, honestly, and fairly. Insurance companies do not provide adequate consideration for the long-term effects of this illness and often leave patients scrambling in the dark trying to find a cure. Heather needs our help in order to attain the necessary treatments and therapies and medications to help her battle her Lyme disease. To this effect, she's created a Facebook page and a campaign. Suck a Lyme, fight Lyme disease. I urge all of you to take a moment and look at her page. She provides all kinds of great information on her page about Lyme disease, about her treatment, and she is asking for all of us to do our part, to show some support. I'm asking, and I'm hoping that many of you will consider making a contribution to Heather's cause. It doesn't matter how small the amount is, any amount is life-saving. Pennies make a difference in this case. And I hope that you will take the time to look at her page and show her some support. Heather is an amazing person, an amazing woman, amazing photographer, terrific artist, wonderful human being. And she really needs our help in order to fight her disease.
Hello, my name is Pete Smeltzer, and I will be reading By this poem. I wish to acknowledge the great Jamaican poet Muda Baruka as a source I subconsciously tapped into in the construction of this poem. I would also like to thank the dark bard and excellent writer Doug Markell for his insights and suggestions in editing this piece. And most importantly, I'd like to thank Heather King for her inspiration as she battles a debilitating medical illness, which gave a lot of inspiration to where this piece currently is. Buy this poem. This poem is green. Would you buy this poem? This poem is do-it-yourself backyard garden green. This poem is save the world, give peas a chance green. This poem is an azure sky squeezing a golden sun all over the world green. Could you buy this poem? This poem is apples and oranges, farmer's artist market green. This poem has leaves as pillows and blankets as grass. This poem is a little patch of green earth purchase me plot. It's 100% recyclable, disposable, sustainable. After all, it has gotten this far. You should buy this poem. This poem is green. It's pyrotechnics shooting out of asphalt cracks. This poem is a snot-nosed brat full of sass. Short, attention span sentences. This poem is the hope of audacity. This poem is fumbling with bra straps and tongue-tied techniques. This poem isn't old enough to know any better. It's wet behind the ears green, petting zoo pellets green, willing to scream green, but not part of a gang green. This poem is growing up all on its own. Buy this poem? This poem is green. It's envious of solar panel studios with eyes on the price of a venti economy. This poem is the green-eyed monster of product placement, pick of the profit. This poem wants its own franchise. It wants to be subsidized, recognized, and utilize a bully pulpit so it can make consumer obedience the easy culprit. But honestly, if this poem could ignore big business and branding, just between you and me, this poem just wishes it could sing. Invest in this poem? This poem is green. It's the remains to be seen green by the powers that be. This poem is the green of chronic Lyme disease. It's camouflaged by the lazy eyes and echoing ears of the Hippocratic establishment. To heal the sick, please. This poem isn't covered by insurance, but by tears. This poem has no assurance of understanding, just fears. This poem is the pale green of being forever under the weather. Its countenance sickened by ignorance and the "it's all in your head" refrain. This poem is the face of solitude, tethered by unspeakable pain. Hence, this poem is still searching for the right words. It's forgettable, hysterical, deniable, and with unverifiable evidence, this poem officially doesn't exist. Like those that still suffer the trick of the tick, this poem persists and will not lie down and die. Would you? Could you? Should you let this poem pass you by? This poem is green. It has no nightlife, half-life, or shelf life. This poem has milk carton desperation. This poem is begging for change. This poem was stolen from all of you. This poem is not for sale. This poem exists solely in this moment of your own imagination. Buy this poem.